What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Royale YouTube channel. We are doing a 2023 rookie mock draft. It's a super flex draft, but we're doing a little different. We have landing spots here. So I had a predetermined landing spots with draft capital. We're going to also be going through every single pick in the first round and their pick value. I'm going to show you real life dynasty trades and what that looks like right now. And then for every pick, from second to the fourth round, we're going to be looking at players that you could go acquire using that pick, or maybe some players, some veterans out there that you can go grab if you're trying to win now. So this isn't just like a rookie mock where we're just going through players. There's all kinds of stuff. This thing is going to be jam-packed. While the intros go, and hit that like and subscribe button, and then we'll dive in on the other side. All right. So like I said, 12 teams, super flex, just a regular premium for tight end. And we are looking at Jordan Addison right here on there. So let's dive into this first six picks. So, and where you see them on the right is what team they landed on. So Bijan Robinson went 101. He landed on the Bears, first overall, first round, ninth pick. CJ Stroud, number one pick in the draft. Anthony Richardson goes at 103. So he went to the Colts to pick 4. Bryce Young, pick 2, he went 104. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba gets in there at 105, and he's going in the first round of the Chargers. I thought that was an interesting landing spot in terms of where draft capital was at, and just a spot. Right now, you tied in with Justin Herbert. I know Allen and Williams are there, but hey, moving forward, him and Herbert, that would be a lovely, lovely freaking landing spot for them. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs falling in. Hey, and then Gibbs here, this is second round, not first round draft capital here. So last pick of the second round, going at 106. And this is generally speaking how the first 6 picks kind of fall in. Like, this is pretty much consensus at this point. Whether you think consensus should be right or not, that is what consensus is. Now, the next 6 picks is kind of where it gets interesting. Jordan Addison gets drafted at the 107. That's pretty early for Jordan Addison, but he did get first round draft capital. So he was the first wide receiver taken. So when you're looking at that, to the Texans, Zach Charbonnet with the Chargers. So Zach Charbonnet gets second round draft capital with the Chargers. And if they move on from Eckler or whatever the case may be, that's not a bad spot for him. Quentin Johnson, he gets second round draft capital there with the Cardinals. Will Levis to the Vikings in the first round. So the Vikings actually moved up to go get Levis. I don't know necessarily if that's going to happen, but it did in this mock. Zay Flowers with the Panthers. So when you're looking at Zay in this one, when you're going over like where he was, second round draft capital with the Panthers. And then Joshua Downs to the Saints. Interesting pick there. Josh fell a little bit. He went to the third round to the Saints, but that's how that first kind of went through. So you see the first 6 picks there. And that's consensus pretty much the same 12 that's going to get drafted. Every once in a while, we'll see a running back kind of go at that 112 mark. But this is pretty consensus. Now, let's go through pick values because I think this is the most valuable part of this video. 101 value right now, and this is what I want to show you guys. I'm going to show you some trades. Now, shout out to DLF's Trade Finder because this is where I get a lot of these trades from, and a little bit of like value, keep trade cuts, some other areas over there where you find these. But these are real life dynasty trades. So if you are holding the 101, this is what you could get. Jalen Hurts for 101, Bateman, Justin Ross in the 201. In my opinion, you smash Hurts there. Like, Hurts has been one of those guys that if you can use the 101 and add some auxiliary assets, I know Rashad Bateman is kind of loved by some in the community, but at 112, 201, I'll take that all day. 201, what are you looking at? A running back in that area? For Jalen Hurts, if you need a quarterback and you're holding the 101, maybe through a trade or whatever, Jalen Hurts is not a bad go get right now. Now, on the flip side, too, I want to show you kind of players. Breece Hall in the 203 for the 101. So really, Bijan, in this case, is getting valued higher than Breece Hall, plus a top 14, 15 asset in terms of like where the pick is going to be. That's an interesting move. Like, if you believe in Breece coming up that ACL, you can kind of just say, hey, he's going to come back to form, and you get a second round pick in it. That could be a value, right? That's why I'm showing you these picks. 102. So here's what's going in terms of this. I also put the 101 on there for you guys just to see another one because I thought it was interesting. Jonathan Taylor for 101, 307, but you could honestly probably put 102 there for that. So both. Then you have the 102, the 202, the 24 second for Kyler Murray. I will say this: Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson are two of the cheapest super flex quarterbacks that can maybe have top 5 finishes if they come back to form in the format right now, right? So you get the 102, which is probably Stroud or whatever quarterback you want there, Young or Richardson. Then the 202, which we'll go through the second round here in a minute, and 24 for Kyler Murray. So it depends really what you feel like there. If you feel like Murray can come back to like top 7 kind of area, we've talked about Stroud and Bryce before. Is he really like that top 5 quarterback? And if you don't think so, maybe that. I think this is appropriate value moving forward, but I think it's fun to see, fun to look at these picks. 103 and 104, kind of where you at. So 104 and the 204 for the 103 to 209. So this is where you consolidate your picks, right? You have that high level, maybe you have the 103 and you're like, hey, I want to get back into that 204 range, and you're not really concerned about where 103 to 105 is your values, or you're still going to get a quarterback and you feel like this is kind of, I just want to show you this trade so you can consolidate those picks. You can see that. Rashad Wright for 103 for Chris Olave. So if you're looking at basically a quarterback, a rookie quarterback with White for Olave, depending on where you have Olave right now valued. So, I have him as a low end wide receiver 1. This could be an interesting trade. Again, this is one of those things. Do you care about the rookie values? Are you worried about rookie quarterbacks and how does that look? Or do you really like Olave and you want to take that, right? Now, I also, I'm going to put in we're going to do multiple trades here. So just so you can see. So right now, Garrett Wilson for the 104, right? So you're looking at that quarterback kind of JSN area. I think that's a pretty good move for Wilson. It kind of really depends on if you need a quarterback or not. If you don't, and you need that elite wide receiver, and again, his value is going to bump up as soon as Rodgers gets traded there. That could be an interesting move. 105, a 205, a 2024 first for Deshaun and a 2024 third. This is a big boy trade here. When you're looking at it overall, 105 is kind of on the outliers of that quarterback range. And depending on if someone maybe sneaks in there at, depending on where you look at what you think of Richardson and Stroud, and if JSN was the pop in there. So really you're trading for probably JSN-ish Gibbs in that area and a 24 first next year. 205 as well for Deshaun. Now, if you think Deshaun can come back, you saw those numbers. He's probably getting valued as quarterback 10 in the format right now in Superflex. So just to keep your eye, just give you an idea where that's at. Next one, 108 for Treylon Burks. I want to show you some straight up trades too that have happened. Treylon Burks is probably someone that now this is really looking at it like Zach Charbonnet, Addison, or Quentin Johnston for Treylon Burks. Who would you rather have, right? Depending on what side you're on that's kind of to show you that value. 106 for Cooper Kupp. Hey, Cooper Kupp remains to me one of my biggest buys. 106 is probably at his elite level buy. I've seen him go for 109 for Cooper Kupp. If you could do that, I'd be more comfortable. But if you're in a win now area and you feel like you could just go get it, Cooper Kupp is phenomenal, right? He's averaging 20 fantasy points per game. If he's healthy, he's ready to go. I know that offense hasn't looked great, but if Stafford comes back and they're there, he's going to get the targets. So if you can get Cooper Kupp right now 106 is rich. 106 is probably his ceiling. But if you're comfortable with that ceiling and you're not really sold on these other guys, these other wide receivers, and you're a win now team, that's something to kind of look at, in my opinion. Now, when you look at 109 and 112 values, this is where it gets kind of down because people think there's a tier there. But hey, DJ Chark and 110 for Marquise Brown. I smashed the Marquise Brown side here. I think I like DJ, and I think the 110 could have some value. But Marquise Brown, to me, I still think he can be a wide receiver too. And if you can get that for that value, I'm all aboard there. Here's another one, kind of like the Cooper Kupp trade. Hey, what do you think of Terry McLaurin? 109 for him. If you think Terry can step up, be that guy, and be more consistent this season for the 109, that's interesting value play for you as a contender out there. Nico Collins, Deebo Samuel, and 111 for AJ Brown. Listen, give me AJ Brown in this case. Like I'm smashing that. I know Deebo's there, and I realize the upside there. The injuries kind of concern me. The 111 is really not. Nico's nothing to me. 111 Deebo for AJ Brown. I'm gonna get AJ Brown here and go get elite wide receiver 4 range guy, top 4, right? So when you're thinking of CD, Justin, Chase, Brown, he's in there. And then again, if you're thinking like you need a quarterback, the 110 to 112 is in between that range is my range, man. So like you're thinking like, hey, I go get Mac Jones. I think, he's got a real, offensive coordinator, Russell Wilson, those type of guys for that 112. I think that's not a bad value play. If you really need that quarterback too, or some depth at that quarterback position, you're not sold on some of these other quarterbacks going around there. I think those are areas there. Now, when we jump in, so I hope the value thing helped you out. Now I'm going to jump into the second round. I'm going to show you what happened. Jalen Hyatt went to the Chiefs, and he got really good draft capital. He got drafted in the first. Now, I don't know if that would do it, but this is mock that they did it. So he got drafted in the first. He still went in the second round. So that can show you kind of what Hyatt's value is right now. Tajay Spears going second round in New Orleans, and that's been a common area. Debro from Fantasy Pros, and I did a mock with them. He picked them there too. I think that's an interesting spot for him. Michael Mayer got first round draft capital went at 203 still. Again, not tied in premium, just the value. Devin O'Shane went at 204. Now, O'Shane went to the Dolphins, and I think that's a pretty good spot for him if they're going to give up draft capital for a running back in the third. So he did get day 2 draft capital, right? That's why he's going there. Dalton Kincaid went in the first round of Dallas. Kayshon Boutte is still getting drafted. He went 5th round of Minnesota in the mock that we did for landing spot. He's still getting drafted in the second round. I don't quite understand it. I get it. I understand, like, hey, you believed in his talent, what he was, but he has not shown us anything. I guess you take the risk, but 5th round draft capital, are you willing to take that risk? I think that's something to think about. Kendre Miller, Arizona Cardinals, and I think, hey, that's an interesting spot for him. Kendre went in the 3rd round, so he did get day 2 draft capital. Cedric Tillman got round 2 capital there with the Falcons, so I thought that was interesting. Zach Evans went to the Browns. Now, Zach Evans did get 3rd round draft capital here with the Browns, and maybe he's that guy that's going to come up and step up for Chubb and be that kind of 1-2 area, and then Chubb's getting a little older, right? Evans getting day 2 draft capital is awesome. I don't know if he's going to do it, but I do like it. Take Bigsby there going at 210. Bigsby got 4th round draft capital. Luke Musgrave going to Washington. So Musgrave, again, he's kind of that high riser. He got the 2nd round draft capital Washington. And then Marvin Mims there with Seattle. Mims actually, when we're looking overall, like what he did, and I like this here. 3rd round here, right? So we're looking at Mims, 3rd round area, where to go. Now, when I go in over like where this pick values are, so when we're thinking about this, early seconds right now, this is some of the guys that you can get. Now, some of this is based on keep trade cut. Some of this is based on my leagues just generally. And again, I know that not everybody's in these type of leagues. Like, oh, well, yeah, not in my league. I get it. But maybe. You never know. Until you send it, you never know. Mike Williams, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, and Rashad Bateman are all getting valued around that early second mark. Mid-seconds, you're looking at Darnell Mooney, Cortland Sutton, Alvin Kamara, Tyler Lockett. And in your late seconds, you're looking at Antonio Gibson, Rashad Penny, Brandon Cooks, and John Mechie. And Mechie's probably the outlier here. And I think that Mechie might be at his highest value because people are kind of thinking, hey, you're going to go there with the quarterback. You're going to see that. So this might be a time that you maybe move on from Mechie. If you feel like a late second, the value, you just saw the second round where that's at, it may be something that you like a little bit more, right? Now, 3rd round, just going to kind of go through it. Hendon Hooker, Raiders, so talking about him. Win in the 2nd round. Roshan Johnson, again, goes into the 5th round to the Giants. Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, Israel Bonaconda, Sean Tucker, Darnell Washington. Eric Gray went to the Bengals. Eric Gray got 4th round draft capital there, so that's someone to highlight. Jonathan Mingo went to the Titans, and he's a player that a lot of people are talking about right now. They're really high on Jonathan Mingo. And again, in this one, when you're thinking of where he went, not a terrible spot for targets, right? So when we think of like, hey, maybe he's going to get some targets there. He did get day 3 draft capital though, so he's not getting that high area of capital. Chase Brown, Jaguars, Dwayne McBride, Dallas 6th round. Xavier Hutchinson did get to the Ravens in the 3rd round, but because it's the Ravens, he did fall to 312. So that's kind of the area to kind of look at. Pick values for these early 3rds: Hunter Renfrow, Khalil Shakir, Zay Jones, Irv Smith Jr.'s popped out now as he's got his landing spot. Mid-3rds, Jelani Woods, Paris Campbell, Adam Thielen, and Chuba Hubbard. And in late 3rds right now, and this is super flex, but again, Odell Beckham is out there. Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold, I think, are interesting. I don't know if you can get them for late 3rds based on their owners, but that's kind of where they're getting valued. I don't really necessarily – I don't know. We'll see. It depends on the league, I guess. People might just be done with Zach Wilson. And then Zach Ertz sitting out there. I mean, coming off the injury, he will have a tight end friendly system. Could be the target 2 getter there. I mean, McBride is out there as well. So trying to think of where that's going to be. Now, in the 4th round, to wrap this one up, Evan Hull went to the Lions. So he didn't get the draft capital some people think he's going to get in this one. 7th round, the Lions. Kenny McIntosh went to the Bills because they just like Georgia running backs, apparently. 5th round of the Bills. Sam Laporta, he did go to the Dolphins, and this was 2nd round draft capital. He's still getting drafted in the 403. That's a hell of a pick there. Zach Kuntz goes at 404, and he went to the Bengals. Zach got 3rd round draft capital as well. A.T. Perry went to the Patriots. Tyler Scott. Tucker Kraft is there with the Lions. Parker Washington to the Texans. Tanner McKee to the Patriots. Such a Patriots move there. Deuce Vaughn goes to the Raiders. Tank Dell to the Falcons. And then Raheem Jarrett rounded up that 4th round. He's going to 6th round of the Steelers. So I thought it was interesting based on the draft capital, but also just like landing spot, right? Like, do you like these certain landing spots where these guys can go? And I will tell you right now, the tight end position is loaded. Like, just looking at the tight end position where the draft capital guy and where they got drafted, it's loaded. Now, for pick values for the 4th round are so tough, but early 4th right now, Justin Ross, Chase Edmonds, Deion Jackson, Calvin Austin in the 3rd. Mid-force, Jalen Tolbert, Brevin Jordan, Boston Scott, Jonnu Smith. And then you have late force. You got Marcus Callaway, you got Ty Chandler, Richie James, OJ Howard. You got those guys in there. So that's our mock. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I like doing these mocks with draft capital, but also landing spot, because I think it differentiates between areas there. And I hope you enjoyed the value. So go back, look, hey, if I have these picks, what could I get right now? And always DM me, find me there. You can see my at there, and say, hey, I like this. I don't know necessarily how this trade is. I might, the DMs are open, but hit that like and subscribe button before you get out of here. We appreciate you here on this channel. We appreciate you guys viewing it. We really do. I can't thank you guys enough. So appreciate you guys. I will check you guys next time on our next video.